I didn't think of my apartment as strange at first. It was just old. Radiators that hissed like they were clearing their throats, floors that complained if you crossed them too quickly. Chicago does that to buildings. You forgive a lot when the rent is reasonable and the windows face a tree instead of a brick wall. The key showed up during one of those quiet, pointless evenings when you cleaned to avoid doing anything else. I was emptying the junk drawer, dead batteries, a soy sauce packet, a screwdriver with a stripped head, when my fingers closed around something colder and heavier than the rest. A skeleton key. Not decorative, not novelty. Real weight to it. Old metal, worn smooth where a thumb would rest. I stood there for a second, trying to remember where it came from. Ellis, my landlord, had handed me 2 identical modern keys when I moved in. He didn't strike me as the type to forget something like this. I assumed it had been left behind by a previous tenant, tossed it into a bowl with my change, and went on with my night. For a week, nothing happened. The floor plan bothered me next. I was measuring the living room wall for a bookshelf and kept coming up short on the math. The wall shared with my bedroom was longer than it had any right to be. Not by inches, by feet. I remeasured. I checked again the next day. Same result. Old buildings are full of lies. I told myself that and moved on. The door didn't announce itself. I found it by accident, crouched on the floor looking for a sock that had escaped the dryer. The wardrobe in the bedroom, big, heavy, second-hand, sat in the far corner. When I reached behind it, my hand didn't hit wall. It slid along a narrow seam. I shoved the wardrobe aside with a grunt. The legs shrieked against the floor. Behind it was a door that had been painted over so many times. It looked swollen, its edges soft, like it had been underwater. Brass knob, keyhole beneath it. I didn't feel scared yet, just irritated. No one likes discovering something like that in a place they've been sleeping. The skeleton key fit as if it had been waiting. The lock turned with a thick, deliberate sound, not loud, but confident. The door opened into a room that felt unfinished. No windows, no vents, no outlets. The air inside was cool and dry, like a space that had never learned how to breathe. I stood there holding my flashlight, listening to the normal sounds of my apartment. The refrigerator cycling, a car passing outside, proving to myself this was just another room. I closed it, locked it, and shoved the wardrobe back. Mystery solved. That should have been the end of it. I decided to use the space for storage. The first time I went back in, I brought cardboard boxes. When I opened the door, one of the boxes was already standing upright in the center of the room. I know how that sounds. I stood there, genuinely annoyed, trying to invent a reason. Maybe I'd left it like that. Maybe the floor wasn't level. I flattened it again, set it in the corner, and left. The second time, the dust had been disturbed. Not footprints, not smears, just a clean, rectangular absence, as if something solid had rested there long enough to press the dust away. I started keeping track after that. Here's the thing I didn't understand at first. Nothing ever moved unless I brought it in. The room never changed on its own. It waited, and whatever was happening followed rules I didn't know yet. A paperback went in, an old novel I didn't want anymore. The next day it stood upright, pages spread, balanced carefully at the exact center of the floor. I brought in nothing else for a week. Nothing happened. When I did, the interaction changed. Always different, always precise, never sloppy. I never heard it while it was happening. Sound entered the equation late. The first time was a single, solid thump behind the bedroom wall, like a heavy object being set down carefully. It didn't repeat. It didn't echo. It felt intentional, like punctuation. The knocking started 2 nights later. 3 taps, evenly spaced, from inside the room. That's when I realized the next rule. It didn't knock until I'd left the door locked for too long. I didn't answer. I didn't open it. The silence afterward felt patient. Not angry, not frustrated, just waiting. Yesterday, I came home and found the wardrobe shifted forward, not toppled, not forced, just nudged enough that the floor beneath its legs was clean where dust should have been. Something on the other side had leaned. I stopped opening the door after that. I kept the key in my pocket, and I started to notice when it was cold. Not all the time. Only when I stood too close to the bedroom. Only when I lingered. Tonight, I'm on the couch, lights off except for the glow from the street. The hallway is a dark rectangle. I can see the outline of the wardrobe at the far end, blocking the door I shouldn't have. A few minutes ago, I heard the lock turn. Not the knob. The lock. That thick, familiar scrape. Slow. Careful. The key is still in my pocket. I haven't moved. The air feels different now, like pressure equalizing, like a seal has been broken somewhere out of sight. Nothing else has happened. No footsteps, no sound at all. Just the knowledge that the door is unlocked. Whatever is in that room has learned another rule. And I don't think it needs me to open the door anymore.